Good morning, folks. Jamie McIntyre here from Australian National Review, ANR.news. You can follow our 24-hour news headlines. We're independent media. That means, for instance, that we don't get paid, we refuse the money that Israel offers for us to push Israeli propaganda. But you know, if influencers are getting paid $6,100 US to $7,100 US, and Netanyahu sees it fit to meet with influencers when he's in America, that's worth his time than anyone else. Do you think how much mainstream media is being paid, certainly on one side of politics, to push Netanyahu's war crimes, such as Fox News, Murdoch? Did you know Murdoch is actually the second biggest sponsor or funder of Netanyahu's political career? So I want to talk to people about this because Israel is a controversial topic. That's why most people aren't game to talk about it, because it can get you shadow banned, it can get you in trouble with the powerful people, it can get you debanked and get you cancelled in Australia. You can get government agencies to go after your assets and steal them, to shut you up and silence you. How do I know this? Well, I have some personal experience, because the problem is I was invited to Israel. I have many Jewish friends. So this also makes it difficult for when calling me anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish, because half my friends are Jewish and I certainly don't have any hate in my heart. I love and have compassion for people. That's why I stand up for the poor innocent Palestinian people, our children being bombed to death, the largest childhood cemetery on the planet, that we're brainwashed in Australia and America and the West, that we're meant to stand with the side that's dropping US precision weapons that can target an individual in a kitchen in a neighboring country, but somehow can't miss children and innocent civilians in Gaza next door to Israel. So I'm going to suggest to you, those who oppose such genocide and Holocaust are the ones that oppose hate. Those who remain silent or support such genocide or make excuses, oh, Israel has the right to self-defense. Well, where was their fucking self-defense on October 7th? As Charlie Kirk asked, because he didn't like Netanyahu, he referred to Netanyahu as a bully, even though Netanyahu lies to you that, oh, Charlie and I were best friends and Charlie loved Israel. No, he fucking didn't. In the last 2 months of his life, he had a turning point in his life. And had a turning point which good Christians out there that haven't yet had this turning point, you might want to not let Charlie die in vain. The turning point was he realized that his beloved Israel, as a good Christian boy that he studied in the Bible, is not the Israel you see bombing children to death. The Israel you see doing that was created by a banking cartel family known as the Rothschilds. If you doubt that, look up Balfour Declaration, 1917, dear Lord Rothschilds. It's pretty well evidence that this banker-wanker family that is satanic, does not believe in God, not only fraudulently called their fake state from stealing and genociding and terrorizing the neighbors, stealing their homes after the Palestinian people allowed these Jewish settlers to move into the house. They actually stole their homes, locked them out and threatened to shoot them if they dare come back to their home. This is what happened. This fake state. They also then lied to you and told you they were God's chosen ones. Now, I'm pretty sure I have a good enough relationship with God to know that God would never choose a satanic banker-wanker family that hates Christians and Muslims alike, hates you and wants to destroy the West, the banking cartel family and their pedophile elites. But to ensure they got American Christians and created a thing called Christian Zionism, where foolish, misled Christians that are not evil people, that actually should have love in their heart, not the hatred to support a war criminal Netanyahu. They paid the churches, they changed the Bible, Schofield's Bible, to trick Christians and mislead them like Charlie was misled, that somehow good-hearted people should stand with such evil, satanic evil. And God warned us, did he not? You know, I don't care whether you're religious or not, but the Bible is a pretty important, book. And it did warn us that beware of the devil's tricks. And the world is opposite to what you think. So most of you, I know you figured this out yet, but some of you are deeply, deeply misled. And I challenge anyone, if you want to, and I did. We were going to have Charlie Kirk speak at the Free Speech Summit in Australia a little over 2 months ago. It was suggested to me by my team. I was and I said, look, I will only have Charlie headline the Free Speech Summit because I knew he's pro-Israel up until then, on the condition he does a live debate with myself on stage, live stream around the world, and the debate would be, from my end, why, Charlie, should any individual, any nation stand with Israel, including Australia? That was what the debate was beyond. Now, of course, at that same time, I was unaware that Charlie already was having this turning point because most of his supporter base was becoming anti-Israel, and he was having a lot of new debates with his friends, like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, had become more anti-Israel, as any decent human has become. I mean, only the slobs in the class are still standing with Israel because they swallowed fake news all their life and they think fake news is true, but fake people believe fake news. So anyhow, the point being is that Charlie Kirk had a turning point in his life, and that's why Israel killed him. Now, we don't know that 100%. We know it 99.9%, enough to put $10 million up for anyone that wants to prove Israel didn't Charlie Kirk. And you can watch my previous videos. I won't go into that. The evidence is compelling that we could run a court case now and win that court case. That Israel had motive. They're the prime suspect straight away anyhow, because who else does? Who controls the intelligence agency? So if there's intelligence agency assassination, which that clearly was, then that's Mossad straight away. But we can go through all that in other videos. I've covered that, and many other people, good independent journalists, have as well. So the point being is that anyone that stands, it's like being emotionally, especially Christians or people becoming Christians for the first time because they've seen what happened to Charlie. If you've been manipulated to become a Christian Zionist, in other words, a Christian that stands with Israel because you think Israel, the modern day state of Israel, is what's talked about in the Bible, but can't figure out the Bible was written thousands of years ago, because how could it be talking about an Israel state created in 1948? By a banker wanker family known as the Rothschilds, which own your Western system. And Israel, by the way, owns America. America is a little bitch. Trump is a bitch, whether you like Trump or not. Trump is a Christian Zionist. And anyone that's a Zionist is deeply misled, and Trump doesn't really have a lot of choice about that. But a lot of Americans are very brainwashed about this. But that's changing. And that's why they had to stop Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's platform was built by Israeli-funded money. But he got to the point, as now clearly evidenced by Candace Owens, she's been proven right, and others, that he was turning against Israel. He was no longer, 48 hours before his death, he said very clearly, I can no longer support the pro-Israel cause. He was going to turn. He already called out Netanyahu on an interview in his recent months of his life. Was there stand-down orders Netanyahu on October 7th? He was turning against Netanyahu clearly. He rejected Netanyahu's invite to Israel. He rejected $150 million purported by Israel to keep on pushing the lies, just like they're paying $6,100 to $7,100 US for influencers. Ask your pastor. If you go to church, ask your pastor, how is Israel funding and paying money to this church, all to you, to push Israel propaganda and convince and fool us to stand with Israel, which is the devil's work. So let me make it very clear. I don't advocate violence. I stand for humanity. I stand for a multipolar world. I stand against Israel. I was invited there. I went there. I was asked to be a friend. I was offered money for Australian National Review to push Israeli propaganda. And I said no. You know why I said no? Because some of us have honor and principle. We have honor and principle and refuse to be misled. I admit, in the past, I was somewhat pro-Israel. I admit I was naive, gullible, and foolish. But at least I had the awakening to accept that maybe I was wrong. So if you're still defending Israel, you have to accept that means you are the evil. And if you say, I'm not evil, Jamie, well, prove it. Do some independent research and stop standing with this fake banking cartel state that wants to enslave the world, is destroying the West. Who do you think has flooded Muslim immigration around the West? Who's done that, do you think? Israel? Who's bombed excess Muslim nations? Israel. Who funds Islamic terrorism? ISIS. Who created Hamas? Who shuffled $35 million in cash to them a month? Netanyahu. Which Israeli prime minister in 2019 said to his Lucid party, if you want we must continue to support Hamas if you want Israel to achieve its political objectives? Who had the former Israeli prime minister assassinated, shot in the back at a peace rally when Israel had signed a peace deal with Palestine and killed for it? I just wonder, who became the next prime minister? Netanyahu. Who's been lying to US Congress and lying to you to start every war? Every war pretty much on this planet is a banker's war, a Rothschild's banker's war. And just like they're trying to start World War III, just like they started the Ukraine war against Russia, 2014, Israel, to make it Israel 2. Just like they're trying to pick on Iran, trying to provoke war with China over, loading up Taiwan and getting Taiwan to, go against China. But you're told the opposite, right? You're told Russia invaded Ukraine. If you believe that a 11-year-old war started 3 years ago, do some basic mathematics. It's pretty much like some people think, Israel, the modern state of Israel, started 77 years ago in 1948 is somehow biblical. 77 years, 2,000 plus years. Basic 5-year-old mathematics can figure out that's bullshit. And basic, you don't even have to be a Christian to figure out that God probably didn't choose these banker wankers. So I want you to understand that, folks, that if you're standing with Israel, don't. You're going to lose your reputation. You're going to be banned from society, rightfully so, because I can tell you now, they're cancelling us from society because they want to censor. They've bought TikTok. Israel just bought TikTok to shut down the young people finding out about how bad Israel is. They control Elon Musk with X. They can Zuckerberg, I've met his family, hosted his family before at my events. They are controlled, or the Zuckerberg has controlled Facebook, etc. That's why they want have anti-Semitic laws in Australia, in America. You can criticize America, but you can't criticize Israel. How many US congressmen are owned by Israel? I don't need to tell you this. It's already out there. I just want people to know that do not have the hatred in your heart to stand with Israel. If your pastor, your church is preaching stand with Israel, call them out in the middle of the congregation. And ask them, are you getting paid like an influencer? How much are you getting paid? How much money are you getting from the church? Or are you just pushing and being a dumbass Israeli shill because you're brainwashed because you read a Schofield's Bible? If you stand with war criminals, look, they're doing a genocide holocaust, and now what we should thank Trump for ending a war that he could have ended before it was wiped out. They're only ending the war because there's no more buildings to bomb, and they've been, they want to now take over and build a digital blueprint city, a digital ID dystopian city in Gaza, which is a blueprint for what's coming for you folks if you don't wake up. So you can remain silent and not be controversial like me, but I don't think God created people to have courage to remain silent. So if you're a Christian, stand with Israel, I'm going to challenge you. Look in the mirror and see that a devil's trick hasn't fooled you.
What if I told you that owning a beachfront villa in Indonesia could cost less than a new car? Marina Bay City, Lombok, new release villas start from just $99,000 AUD, and they can generate up to 20% yearly rental returns, plus 50-80% capital gain while being built. Lombok is Bali's stunning, untouched neighbor, same paradise vibe, but still early and affordable. Smart investors are already moving in. Want to see how? Join our free webinar, Message Us Webinar, and we'll send you the link.
What does $78,000 get you in Bali? Introducing Resort KN Vios by LUX. Studios from $79,000 AUD. Hotel-style amenities. Live, work, unwind. Unique design villas, live in or rent out. Prime Seminyak location. Steps to dining, buffets and beach clubs. Projected net annual returns, 12 to 18% PA. Thinking of moving to Bali? Own your place in Seminyak. Own at Resort KN Vios by Lux Seminyak.